Hello, everyone. Welcome back for another episode of This Week I'm Learning. I'm your host, Brandon Vader, and I'm joined by Cody Stratman,
That would be me.
Wave,
I can
and Colton
point.
Roper.
Hello.
All right. Got some interesting topics this week, and yeah. Looks like Colton is going to be teaching us that firefighting technologies of the future have a definitive sci-fi feel to them.
Cody's going to teach. It's super interesting, I promise. Cody's going to be teaching us about how he learned to be wrong, which is always good.
Yeah, important lesson in life.
And Brandon's going to teach us to pour one out for Flash. Pour Flash.
Poor Flash.
All right.
Poured its poor heart out.
Pour it all out.
All right, Colton, firefighting technology, go!
Alrighty. So, in addition to all the crap that's going on in the world, the pandemic, the protests,
Everything.
it's just all the stuff, the murder hornets, the God, whatever is going to happen next month, I don't even know yet.
The apocalypse.
The
bingo.
apocalypse. Oh, totally. Locally here in Tucson, we actually have a pretty big fire that's actually affecting a lot of us. A good portion of, well, a good portion of people near the fire have been evacuated or are in very, I guess they're in a danger zone. They have to be ready to go. It's called the Bighorn Danger Zone. Very danger zone. So it's called the Bighorn Fire. Roughly about 65,000 acres has already been burned. Yeah, I mean, even from my house, I could see the fire every night. I've showed you guys pictures actually on the Discord.
Okay, I was wondering.
Yeah, those pictures are roughly 2 or 3 weeks ago, and we could put them up on when we get the YouTube video as well. But yeah, that was roughly 3 weeks ago. It's actually moved like completely to the opposite side of the mountain. It's the weirdest freaking thing.
Shy.
It's affecting Shy.
Yeah, by moving away to the other side of the mountain.
Ah, there you go. Yeah. So it's being shy towards actual other communities that have been fully evacuated. So it's kind of a big deal down here. So just a little small bingo thing down here.
You guys can't let Australia have all the glory, can you?
Dude, I don't even remember that. That seems like 2 years ago, 3 years ago at this point. It's the weirdest thing. But basically,
just a few months ago,
it's kind of interesting because with the way the terrain is for it's on the Catalina Mountains, which very steep, very, I wouldn't say inhospitable, but they're very rugged terrain, so it's very hard to control a fire on it in some way. So the main thing that the local firefighters have decided to do, just because of the danger involved, is pretty much wait for the rains to come, which in a desert is a very interesting firefighting technique. But hey, you know what? Honestly, at this point, it's probably the best solution because all they can really do is use that fire retardant and try to keep it somewhat contained. And if being the desert and how dry it's been, it's just wild. But basically, it kind of leads me into the topic that I chose for this week. Is I was kind of interested in what firefighting technologies are out there. Basically, there are three ways that you could break down firefighter tech. It could be preemptive, suppressive, or survival based. Preemptive is obviously tech that's used to prevent the fires before they even begin. Suppressive would be techniques that actually stop the fire in some ways, whether it's a wildfire or a building fire. There's apparently a whole different strategies for that. And then, God forbid, there's actually a third type, the survival type, which is when all hell is broken loose, and at this point, they're just trying to save firefighters, civilians, animals, and even property. It's like, we don't care, let it burn. So it's kind of cool, actually. I got a lot of this information from interestingengineering.com, so much thanks to them. But basically, just talk to you guys about 4 technologies that are being used or are in the process of being developed and are relatively close to being used in the future. And kind of go with the preemptive, suppressive, survival. Kind of explain a little bit of that as well. So one of the things that firefighters actually use is basically a grenade. It's a fire extinguishing grenade. It's made of like glass or other composites, just basically a ball essentially of fire suppressant, most commonly carbon. What was that? Tetrachloride, which is basically really good at sucking. Well, it's used to basically suck oxygen away from a fire, which is the best way they found so far to really control it. Um, Basically, that they're thrown by hand, just like you think a grenade. They throw them into the fire. They try to get it right in the center of a hot zone or whatever they kind of terminology roughly that they use, and it basically causes a small controlled explosion. Um, yeah, so they use that actual suppressant actually will obviously explode, covering the area. Ooh, my notes went away. Hang on a sec. Yeah, so yeah, that cover the area and prevent any fuel from actually being reignited. At the same time, the actual explosive force will actually blow a fire away. Just gives them a chance to get in there and control whatever area they're trying to work on. A lot of times, those are used in building fires, which, uh, yeah, small room, you throw it in there, blows it out, gives them a chance to, I guess, get a foothold in an area if they're decided to do that. Doesn't really work on wildfires, at least according to the info I found, but it still can be used to quickly. Can also be used to protect yourself as well. If you throw it, you can kind of again give yourself a chance to actually survive. Um, Another that's actually being used now. They're always developing new and cool, uh, different technologies with that particular grenade. Another thing that they use for suppression is basically it's using sound, actual sound to. They're called sound fire extinguishers. Kind of a weird thing. You'd think they basically play the fire some goth music, and the fire just gets all sad. And that's terrible, terrible.
Could be playing a lot of AFI or something.
just just a lot of just oh man, I don't even want to burn anymore. Basically, they use as it sounds. They use sound to suppress the fire itself. The sound waves, basically, they're this particular technology has always been. They've known about this concept for 150 years, roughly. Basically, sound waves are used to separate the air from the fuel, which causes it to burn out and spread. So the actual waves of the sound will actually like physically separate the fuel. Yeah, yeah, simple as that. They actually physically separate the two, so they can't. So the fuel can't actually feed the fire, and the fire can't ignite the fuel. It's actually really
So
freaking cool.
is it like a resonance frequency? Is that what it is? It resonates with the fuel source and causes it to not be able to maintain position,
From
or
what I saw, there were 2 basic versions. There's kind of like a general one that honestly is probably more air based. They just literally blow the fire away. But yeah, that's kind of what they use. Is they can if they kind of know the actual fuel that's being used, they can kind of resonate, vibrate that particular fuel to actually kind of semi break it down at the molecular level to prevent it from, again, just prevent it from exploding or spreading the fire. So yeah, they basically it's kind of based on what the actual fuel is. But yeah, there's again it's super sci-fi, but apparently it's been a sound technique literally for 150 years. So punny.
but bump.
Right. Something else that is used, and I kind of knew about this, but I actually did a little more research into it. In Dubai, they actually have jetpacks that their firefighters use.
Oh, like the water ones or
The
The
water
actual?
water,
ones?
yeah, they specifically
Okay.
use the water, yeah, the water jetpacks where they take high pressure water, shoot some of it straight down to obviously provide lift and control, But it makes sense that that same water, some of it can be used to control a fire.
Of course, you
So,
don't really want to fly over a fire, considering A, heat rises, and B, your hose might
well,
die.
obviously, you're limited by factors like, well, water sources, and obviously they're incredibly expensive to use. The training is
Well, I mean, you can rent
crazy.
these. I think, like in Mexico and Dubai, as a tourist, you could go down and go, "Hey, I want to, use a jetpack." I've seen YouTube videos of these things, and
Yeah, they're
it's like a
run off of,
Sea-Doo that,
jet
like,
skis.
yeah, it follows you around, and you're tethered to it, and you basically
Yeah,
just go,
so it
shh.
yeah, it basically is making it more utilitarian because it works. It's relatively safe, and it can get you to places that can get you places quickly. Obviously, using a Sea-Doo or anything like
You
that,
know
get you
that makes
places.
sense for some place like Dubai in certain areas with all of the weird little islands and stuff that they have. It's a
Yeah,
desert, but it's near the ocean. It's on the
yeah,
ocean, so that makes sense.
rivers, oceans. Really, it's that particular technology is used, at least according to the article, is it's really used near obviously oceanfront docks, ship fires are another good way. It's just a quick way to respond to a fire
As long as
in
you don't
that.
sink the ship by putting to.
Well, yeah, it's
Probably would.
again at that point it's more of just yeah, they have the technology, why not?
Yeah.
So far it's been used in multiple fires and it's been relatively successful according to their fire department. So hey, I could see it working. It all makes sense. It's all about if the technology itself can be safe enough to be used for for whatever the actual gain would be out of it.
I guess we'll have to go to Dubai and ask them about it.
Yeah,
Pretty
we'll have to.
interesting.
I think it'd be cool.
Yep.
Another thing, NASA has actually been working on a portable shelter that sits in a container roughly about the size of a milk jug. It's basically the same material that astronauts themselves use in their spacesuits. Basically, it protects. The idea is that it can protect a person from an air temperature that's hundreds of degrees difference between the inside of the suit or blanket, I guess you could say, versus the outside. And all at the same time, the actual material is only roughly a millimeter to a millimeter and a half thick. So it's the amount of engineering that goes into this super thin material can actually still at the same, even though it's super thin, super light, it still can protect a firefighter from like 500, 600 degrees on the outside, and then on the inside it's a relatively comfortable 80. I mean, it's still hot. 80 to 115 degrees is kind of the rough estimate right now, which
Fahrenheit.
is Fahrenheit, of course. Yeah. Yeah, if it was Celsius, it wouldn't really matter, would it? Should have made that
No.
clear. But so that's it's kind of cool. I mean, hey, wherever the technology is, whoever wants to develop it, it's cool how one industry can take a concept as like a spacesuit and use it for, I don't want to say more practical things, just different industries. It's fascinating how different technologies can be
Terrestrial
moved.
use.
There you go. I like that. Last thing that's kind of want to mention, Sweden is actually developing a futuristic fighting helmet. It's called the See-Through Smoke Diving Helmet. Essentially, it's a mixed reality device. So
Oh.
yeah, basically they're trying to develop it so it provides the firefighter with their body temperature, outside temperature, different temperatures of fire, oxygen levels, CO2 levels, just information that could always be useful in that type of situation. Thermal imaging as well, so they could see hot spots in different areas, even if it's just covered in smoke. Wire imaging, so if there's multiple firefighters in an area, they can't physically see them, but using this technology they can actually get a rough outline of where that person could be, include the
Yeah,
firefighters
even
and
if they're through a
potentially
wall or something. Yep.
exactly, and potentially even civilians and other creatures as well. They're actually trying to develop that as well. Um, so I mean that's like sci-fi 2050 and on kind of stuff, but they're actively developing it now. I think it's supposed to go into uh, testing uh, in real life situations roughly in the next 3 to 4 years is what they're hoping for. But they're saying that the technology is super promising, um, and as computational devices get smaller and more powerful, more resilient to that type of more extreme temperatures and everything, it'll just get better and better. And eventually, the idea is to have kind of the thing with the idea with the military, but it's basically to have an entire group of firefighters being able to work closer as a unit. Um, to be able to always be in communication with their chief, to be able to pull up, say they're going into a building in New York City. The idea also is to be able to say pull up a blueprint of a building and be able to determine, hey, you know what, this way is blocked, but I could already see without having any sort of, I guess, outside contact. They can determine quickly that, hey, there's another entry point over here. Let's go check that out. Or hey, this is designated a living area or a lobby area for something. They can go and check. Hey, there might be people there. They can also see weak points because of the thermal imaging. They can see super hot zones. The the device is supposed to be able to. It's kind of cool. The AI that they want to develop is actually supposed to help predict when a structure or a fire itself is going to get out of control. Basically, using that same technology to be able to say, "Hey, that is a load-bearing beam. Its
This
temperature
building
is
is no
this.
longer structurally
This
sound.
that area exactly. That's kind of the end goal is to be able to essentially have an AI in your helmet that can help a firefighter be able to well get out of an area safely if needed or save other people if needed. So I
Yeah,
said
this
all
is
that's
yeah, this is interesting, like video game level technology.
oh it is
Yeah.
wild and it's not even that far off honestly. I mean going with the mixed reality idea, I mean what is it? Microsoft and Amazon are fighting with the U.S. For the U.S. military contract for the same kind of device,
Yeah,
a mixed reality device
Yeah.
for the American soldier.
but you have to
So it's
shield that. There's a lot more robustness that would
yeah,
I
I
would
mean
assume that would have to go into it.
I mean you think about a
You could
firefighter,
argue
they'd
either
have to
ways,
deal they'd
yeah.
have to deal with shock, they have to deal with
True,
temperature
heat.
differences. Um, Obviously areas that probably have weak signal, so there's weird signal boosting things, technologies that they're going to be playing with to different using different frequencies to go through different materials based on the composition of the
Yeah,
fire, the composition of the building itself. It's all just it's super cool and super fascinating. And hey, you know what? If in the long run it saves some people, I would say it is worth it to see where that kind of technology can go.
and if you're for
Yeah.
some reason attacked by the military and have to go all Wolverines or something, you just turn on your microwave.
Exactly. I don't see why not. That is our end all just in case. End all be all.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Kind of interesting. I liked it.
Yeah. No, that is very interesting.
So, kind of changing up a little bit here. What is Cody going to explain? Because I'm still very intrigued about how you learn to be wrong, and I don't really understand what that means.
This is something that kind of an idea that's actually caught my attention for a while, but as I was watching through my usual, series of YouTube channels that I normally watch, I came across one from Linus Tech Tips that was, and I could tell by your face expression, Drac, that you already know what I'm going to say, where he apologizes for jumping to conclusions and kind of going fanboyish over PC stuff, which I happen to do quite a bit as well. A lot. Very much a lot. I'll be like, Team Red is better, or, or whatever, and I'll get emotionally invested into it. Well, he did this about some hardware, specifically the solid state drives on one of his WAN shows. And he made a video, just, it's probably the best example of a sincere apology and how really to show humility and how to just do things right and go, hey, I was wrong. Let me inform you on, how I was wrong, what this really is. And he even went to the person that he kind of insulted a little bit in the original video, and then went back, apologized, and requested more information about the technology.
Was it regarding the PS5? Is that what the...
Yeah, it was regarding
the solid state.
The solid state drive on the PS5.
Okay.
And it was really interesting and just a really good example of something I think we need more of in the world, is just people not afraid to go, I was wrong about this. I can change my opinion, no matter what it was, depending on what these facts are that are available. And, that's okay. I'm a bigger person for that. And I think a lot of this, well, not a lot of it, but some of it stems from, like in the U.S., it's kind of a gray area, and I did a little bit of research on this, whether or not if you apologize, whether you're legally obligated to something. And it really depends. Like, so you get in an accident and you go to the person and you're like, oh, I'm so sorry. That technically it could be an admission of guilt. And it depends. There's a few things that I found. I found a paper on this written in 1996, so that's more than 20 years old now. 30.
Dude, the 90s was like 5 years ago. Don't worry about it.
I know, it doesn't feel. Well, this year has lasted 5 years, so yeah.
God.
Yeah, time has no meaning in 2020. But I kind of wonder if that has had the knock-on effect of just making society more just entrenched into their ideas, because it's better for people in their mind to go, I'm not going to admit I was wrong, even if I think so, because I'm now just invested in this so much that I can't go back on my word, or people will think it's hypocritical if they change, which I don't see that as
Yeah, I don't see either of those, for a majority of people, I don't see either of those being a stopping point. I don't see your average person on Facebook or Twitter like having that kind of cognizant thought of, well, I don't want to apologize because I don't want to admit guilt, or I don't want to apologize because I don't want to change my opinion because I'm already, I don't think people are like
I
that,
don't want to apologize just because I'm on the internet and I don't give a fuck. So
yeah, that might be more of it.
I think a lot of it has to do with, like Colton said, I'm on the internet, who the fuck cares? But
or this is how I see myself. Yeah, and it's going to shatter my own self-image if I apologize or if I go back on what I think. That's going to totally ruin the person that I've made myself to be. I don't know. We're getting...
Or they're just so hard-headed that facts do not reach them.
Well, I mean, why is a person hard-headed? We could get deeper into this.
Wow.
Why not?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, going with what you said, I would argue it's all about humility. You have to be able to, I would say the strength of character to be able to see that what you did was wrong in some level. And unfortunately, with the way the internet has become, with the social media and just people in general, they do seem to, yeah, they aren't confident in who they are to be able to, hey, I was wrong. I what I said was incorrect. And going to what Linus, because I remember that video now. It is, even from, what am I trying to say? It's rare to see that from a public figure, especially a true, sincere apology. And I think what he did that was interesting, he didn't just apologize, he said how he's going to get better in the future.
Yeah, and it
How,
wasn't
what,
an empty better, because I've seen so many um, companies go, I'm going to get better, and then it's this really empty gesture of
yeah,
whatever.
we're going to look internally and we're going to do better for you, when that's just an empty political safe
Yeah,
bullshit
yeah,
response. There's no
Yeah.
real action plan to show that you understand what you did wrong, or what that company or that politician or your friend or whatever. A sincere apology generally does accommodate that kind of thing, and obviously you have to follow up on that as well. So yeah, it's I like I say, go back to the Linus thing. That was totally sincere apology. I believe every word that man said about that, and it's very interesting to hear in the next year how he follows up with that.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it's not even that big a deal, honestly, in terms
yeah.
of.
It's, I mean, it's fanboyism. It's something that we've all,
Well, that's the thing. It's
each one of us, or at least I know that I have been guilty of it. I don't know about you guys, but yeah, I've been very guilty of getting excited about something and then getting emotionally invested into it, and then going, no, this is better because I feel like it's better, and then just blindly spouting crap, and then just continuing raving nonsense.
well, it's all about integrity again at that point, because what what do you want to present yourself as? Hey, I review tech. My opinion, that shows that he, at least in this case, understands what his voice really is and how his voice can affect change in just, at least in the tech community,
Mm-hmm.
and with his fans as well. It's shows that he, at least, I don't know, honors, is that the word? Respects. He respects his fans enough to want to do better for them. And I think a lot of people in today's world can relate, can learn something from that by just wanting to be better in themselves.
There's a book that I read, uh, I'd say about 6 months ago, called Winning Friends and Influencing People in the Digital Age. It's actually a new version of a fairly old book that that talks about this type of thing, that I recommend that people read. It was actually introduced to me by Waza, or Warren Gertz.
Who's Waza? One of our friends from Thailand?
Yeah, he's our crazy Australian friend from Thailand.
Very worldly
Yeah.
ish. Nah, it's pretty worldly. It's very worldly.
But yeah, that short, but I think that the world would be a much better place if we all did a little bit more of that. And especially certain political figures, I think, would be at a better stance among their populace if they took a little bit of that advice too.
Well, and then you think about, that's part of the apology is, I guess, not that the person who's being apologized to has to forgive, but that's an important step as well, because you have a politician or whatever who will apologize for something. As you said, people will say, "Hey, well, he's just being hypocritical. Oh, he or she can't change his opinion on something. That's
Yeah.
wishy washy. That's just being
It's no,
untrue to who you
I'm
are." It's
changing this because of the new evidence I have, not because it's
Exactly.
convenient for me to
Yeah,
change my opinion.
it goes back to the
If they
sincerity.
inform and educate while they're apologizing or changing their stance, that's, you know, I feel that would be more honorable, more upright and upstanding from a politician than them just going, nope, I'm holding my position.
Yeah, just entrenching.
Yeah, that's
Well, yeah, and it is up. You make a good point where I think you're going, Colton, is that people have to respect that. If people go, I voted for this guy because, or girl or whoever, because they have this stance on this one particular issue, then they change it in office. And if they go, hey, I changed my stance on this because of these things that came to light, that's something that maybe we need to respect or at least realize.
yeah, especially at least in the public forums for sure. Like it's you have to listen. People just need to shut up and listen to what the words actually mean, because then that's when you decide, hey, that's a real apology, or it's bullshit, he's not going to change, or that company isn't going to change, or I'm not even going to listen anymore. That's a dumb, in my mind, that's a dumb, closed-minded way to look at how people, and I guess even corporations and politicians, whatever, how they can interact together. And as you said, the world could definitely learn something just from that particular video that Linus Tech Tips actually posted. And there are numerous examples of that out there. It's not like he's the bastion of moral aptitude or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it's just he's in my normal circle of viewing,
Right.
And so that's where I got it from. And he's pretty well known in even the fairly marginal tech community.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Oh. Anyway, Brandon, you're going to tell us about Flash?
Yeah, so Adobe has announced that it will be discontinuing support for Flash Player on December 31st of this year. But
really?
To be honest, yeah. But to be honest, most people probably won't notice. Flash has been on its last leg since discontinuing the Flash Player for mobile back in 2012. Adobe did announce in 2017 that it would eventually drop Flash for desktop. Most current websites use, WebGL, JavaScript, CSS, PHP, HTML5.
I actually have something to interject when you say most people won't notice. So through my work, I work in government.
Oh no.
We have these god-awful training videos. Which, when I say training, I mean this is like how to walk, how to lift things. It's not training. It's a legal obligation video, and they're just getting worse and worse because you have to, before you could click to the test at the end and just take the test. Now you can't do that. Now they make you go through every slide and click on the things so you know. Yeah, no, it's a good waste of an hour every time, and it feels like, oh, goody, I'm 5 years old again. Thank you, legal system. I appreciate this. I could rant on this for 5 hours. I will try to not steal Brandon's topic.
Cody, we always have to accommodate for the lowest common factor or denominator. What is it? What
Denominator.
Is denominator?
You're just trying.
No, Cody, we have to. Everyone needs to be protected 100% of the time in this kind of thing.
Yeah, that'll make
the
society better.
Person,
that's a better world.
More natural.
We're building better worlds, all of them, better worlds.
Hey, you know what? I was actually going to ask if you could send me one of those videos, because the other day I was just walking, and just out of the blue, I forgot how to friggin' walk. And the whole time I was like...
You slipped, tripped, and fell?
I slipped, tripped, and fell all at once.
Well,
and the whole time I was like, why Flash? Why is Flash Player going away? Adobe, come on now.
Yeah, so anyway, all of these videos are in Flash. Because of course they are, because they were all made in 1996, and they're like, it's the animations that are like, wow, for 1996, because it's like, they're really chunky animations. They're not smooth at all, but they've got like a lot of different colors, and like each slide has a different like color profile. It's just, you could hire anybody. Like, hey, you're 16 years old. You do this stuff at school. Could you do this? Oh, wow, you've made a better version of this than the actual people in 1996 that we're reusing. So,
Well,
yeah,
that's the
the
speed of
Flash
government,
going
isn't
away.
it?
Anyway, sorry to hijack your topic, but yes, this is going to be something that I am going to feel.
Well, sorry, Cody. That, yeah.
I'll take a
How
shot
will
for
you-
the end of Flash.
Pour one out,
Yeah.
as you said.
Pour one out.
So I guess
Pour one out for Flash.
the question is, Brandon, if Flash Flash isn't going away per se, it's just not going to be supported. Or is it going away? Like
Oh,
what?
no. It is a hard deadline. You
Really?
will not be able to download Flash. The last update that Flash will push out is basically going to kill Flash, so it will not even load on websites. You will be unable to load websites with Flash. You will be unable to download versions of Flash. Even if you have an old version previously downloaded, there's already a cutoff switch in most versions that is currently out that it will just stop working.
So that would apply to even apps. Like going back to what Cody said, is that training online or is it through a program native to a computer, Cody?
It is online.
Okay, so I've had some trainings before that use programs that are
But
native.
how are you not able to walk then if you've been trained?
You know what? I didn't go. I only saw like half of the part one. It was all about the left step. They went through it deep, and then I got called away to do something. I don't know.
And your right foot just
It's a mess.
You
I
take the
can't-
left, right, left stance literally.
It's the only thing I know, honestly. And until they update it, which it sounds like they're not going to anymore, I don't know what I'm going to do. But what I'm asking, and maybe you would know, is because there are some programs that use Flash, don't like actual programs, like that will be destroyed as too, or
yes.
You
Okay.
just need an air gap
Yep.
system from like 3 years ago to be able to run those now.
I guess that's true.
But one of the interesting things I found out, because I had, while I was reading the announcement for Flash being discontinued, I was remembering back in high school playing addictinggames.com.
Addicting games, yes.
The Rafflecopter
Tanks,
and
was it tanks?
Kitten cannon.
Tanks, yeah.
Kitten can,
Kitty cannon.
Kitty cannon,
Yeah.
yeah. Dude, that's
Yeah.
now I see that's definitely kind of an end of an internet era for sure. I mean, it is totally.
It is. Yeah. Now, a lot of those kind of sites have moved to HTML5 or other forms of programming for those applications.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to hear what the Internet Archive has to say about this. It's got to be fascinating.
So,
Okay.
there is a group called Blue Maxima. They, through the help of over 100 contributors, have saved more than 49,000 games and 3,600 animations from 16 different platforms for Flash.
Huh.
They're going to have their own version of. God, I wish I would have written Flashpoint is what it's called. Blue Maxima Flashpoint, and it is a all-in-one, basically sandbox container. I don't know if you'll be able to run, like if you have an app that you want to run. I don't know if you'd be able to import it into that suite, but all of the the games and animations and stuff that they have, if you install Flashpoint, you'll have it available, but it will not be able to contact websites. It won't be able to run like Flash currently. It's its own separate sandboxed instance in order to comply with everything.
So you're saying within the next 3 to 4 years, there's just going to be Flash emulators just everywhere for all those?
Probably.
Oh, totally.
Well, I mean, Commodore 64 has an online emulator.
I didn't know that.
DOSBox has an online emulator. I mean, it
Actually, the
It'll be a
DOSBox one
thing.
is pretty good.
Yeah, it is. The Commodore 64 one's actually pretty good too. I a couple years back made Lucas play Odell Lake, which was one of my favorite games growing up. That is infotainment at its best. Check it out for sure.
Brandon, you're old.
And I've got. You know what? You're not far behind me.
Yeah, but
Age is all how you act.
but
And I'm 16, clearly.
Yes.
Well, eventually I'll learn how to walk. That's how difference. That's the difference in age for me.
Maybe they'll port that over to Flashpoint.
God forbid they don't, because then I'm screwed.
So, speaking of an end of an era, I have another one to pour one out for. The last Wii game is coming out this year. The last official game for Wii. Yeah.
The original Wii or the Wii U?
The original Wii.
They were still making games for the Wii?
Certain games, yes.
I kind of need to see how much a Wii is.
Do you want to take a crack at what title is going to be the last to release on Wii?
Is it a Mario game?
No.
Damn it. Is it
Ubisoft?
Assassin's Creed?
No.
It's not the
No.
Far Cry?
No.
I don't even try
Just Dance.
Oh, of course
Just
it would be.
Dance
Of course all
2020.
right. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense. That's actually kind of sad.
This
I love that
story
game.
brought to you by my son. He was the one that told me that, you're doing research topics for your podcast? Well, the last Wii game's getting released, and it's like, what?
How in the hell did he know that?
Yeah,
That's slightly obscure knowledge.
Rick, we're gonna
for him.
now we have to give him a credit. Damn it! I mean, good for you.
All right, go Lucas.
Go Lucas.
And then one other last topic, since we do have a couple minutes. So last week I talked about ARM laptops and how currently there's not anything sporting the new Qualcomm Snapdragon 8CX chipset. On the 24th, I believe. Yeah, I think it was the 24th. Lenovo launched the Flex 5G, which is using the 8CX Qualcomm chip. It's expected to have similar performance to the Microsoft Surface X Pro, which uses the Microsoft Qualcomm Combo SQ1 processor. So the 8CX chip is basically the base architecture, and the SQ1, it looks like, is just a clock speed upgrade and maybe like some different cache or something. It's not really that big of a difference. The Flex 5G is a 14-inch, 360-degree yoga style 2-in-1. It's not yoga though, because apparently yoga is only available through Lenovo Direct and Best Buy. This is going to be sold through Verizon. Let's see, 180p IPS touchscreen, 8 gigs of soldered-on RAM, option for 256 or 512 gig storage, also soldered on, IR camera, fingerprint reader, TPM 2.0. It's going to have two standard 3.1, or two 3.1 Gen 1 Type-C ports, a 3.5 millimeter audio jack, nano SIM card,
Jesus.
5G, 4G, Wi-Fi 5,
That's a
Bluetooth
weird
5.0.
thing. Why no Wi-Fi
Yeah,
6?
yeah.
That's okay. All right.
Anyone want to take a guess at the price?
And Lenovo's the
1,200.
2700.
No.
Damn it.
$1,400, or if you get it through Verizon, payments of $58.33 per month for 2 years.
That sounds wonderful.
Yeah,
Put
but how
yourself
is
in a
how is
contract.
yeah? How is Verizon even going to advertise it? They're not even going to be advertising on Facebook
Now
or Twitter. What are
here's
they going to do?
here's a gap in my knowledge. Are we actually really on 5G? Do we have a real standard for it yet, or are we still kind of guessing at the standard on the
We're still
consumer
fighting,
side? I
at
know
least in
we've
the
been
United
dealing with
States,
Huawei.
We're still
and,
fighting with freaking Huawei about
Yeah.
who knows if the damn equipment's
They're-
even going to come here.
Well, right now it's not. Just
Yeah.
period, point blank, no Huawei
Oh,
infrastructure is allowed. But as far as I know, right now we are not using the actual 5G.
so it's
protocol.
it's a fake 5G. Okay.
Well, you
It's
remember
a
when
4G LTE because
Yeah,
It-
because
it's-
branding, because marketing,
yep.
aka
well, the standards in this
manipulation.
country, as we all know, for technological advances, at least in terms of like internet speed and standards, seem I'd argue is probably a little. It's all based on marketing.
Oh, we're
It's not
terrible.
based on any international standard. Because
Yeah. Now, the laptop, because it's able to do international, it does, the chip in it is an actual 5G protocol chip.
so basically,
But
you can
our
use it
stuff
in
here
like
is not going to be as fast.
yeah, you're going to use the actual 5G technology in what, Germany, Britain.
So you have to go to Europe and get
Trying to-
that one. Nice.
I would argue probably
Yeah.
maybe China, probably, since
I wouldn't.
Probably.
maybe not
Well,
all over
maybe.
China, but
Yeah.
yeah, I mean,
But yeah, I mean it is compatible with the actual protocol, but from what I understand, we are not using the real 5G here. There are bits and pieces that they're using to prototype. I just read about a city where they're doing it, and they're putting up a ton of these because there's two components of the 5G system. There's the like low frequency long range version, so your long range 5G, and then you've got your short range, and that is what is the gigabit or higher.
Yeah,
per
because it's only
second
like
speed.
1,500 feet for the 5.
It's not even that far
Uh,
for the high
well,
frequency
isn't
stuff.
that part of the rollout? Is they have to put like 3 to 4 times as many towers within the
yeah,
same
because-
square
No, way more.
mile, or
Way
even
more
more
than
than that, just to
So-
get the same coverage.
So
yeah, you get
basically
greatly higher
the-
speeds, but yeah. Sorry, go
Yeah.
ahead.
So basically, the Wi-Fi we have through IC connects here in Gunnison, where there's like every few telephone poles, there is a box that is a Wi-Fi transmitter. That is what you'd need in order to effectively cover a high density area with 5G.
So every
And then even that,
every skyscraper in a metropolis is going to have that.
Probably, well, they're going to have to have
and
more
then
than
that's the other problem.
than down the actual skyscraper, wouldn't they?
Yes,
Obviously,
and then because the high frequency does not travel through building material well,
Yeah.
so it's
Yeah.
5G in and of itself is just a kind of a bullshit technology.
Well, I could
mean,
see it for like concerts, for areas that are really swamped during normal.
And
rural
have open
areas
space.
actually. Well, yeah, open space, parks, concerts, stadiums.
I'm just
probably.
thinking about this, with, what was it, 2 years ago, Bangkok had the issue with the BTS system, just stopped
2 point.
working. And the reason, this is hilarious. So it was the switching, like track switching or something that actually stopped working. And it stopped working, they finally figured out, because they had the cellular providers in there installing Wi-Fi at every station. Well, guess what frequency their switching worked on? There's
2.4.
Yeah! Which is just wonderful and hilarious. I was thinking to myself, oh my god, I could solve their problems.
365.
365, motherfucker.
Yeah, the problem with I wonder what their spectrum
License.
utilization looks like. Yeah, their licensing, or if you can use that there. But that was interesting to me.
Yeah, you've told me that story before, and it still blows my mind how a major metropolitan area like freaking Bangkok did use a common frequency like that for something so vitally important to the damn city.
Okay, so this is the thing that I am amused by and understand when things go wrong about Thailand, is it seems like if you can do something and it works, even if it's like held together with duct tape, but it works, then it works. So
then it works.
There's nothing wrong with doing that. And now, granted, usually it's not literally held together with duct tape because they really like appearances and stuff. But, like, technologically, it's held together with duct tape. But it's fascinating.
You can't say that they like appearances when they have telephone poles that you could not pass light through.
The freaking rat's
because
nest.
of the freaking...
yeah, but on the other hand, you look at the
chaos.
buildings there, and like like a lot of the buildings are just immaculate. Like our buildings in most cities look like crap compared to a lot of the areas in Bangkok.
I can actually attest to that. At least the
it's like
touristy, well-to-do area, but.
Yeah.
I mean, the only reason, to be fair, going back to that picture, and we may have to put it up on the YouTube as well, Psycho.
Okay, I'll do it right now.
The only reason, the only reason we really care, at least us three, is because we've all worked in that particular industry before, and we know
running cable
the amounts of hell that would happen if we created that type of rat's nest. So.
Yeah. I just can't believe that someone hasn't knocked that down.
Or the weight of the actual wires
and then just
here.
Trying to figure that out.
I'm glad you mentioned that because actually, so I think it was my first trip there or the second trip there, they were actually taking them down in certain areas.
Like fixing it or
like... all of the cables.
I
think all of the cables on some of the main roads, like Sukhumvit, they were taking down. Like there were giant cables. And this was several years ago. Now, other areas, like when I was in Koh Samui and stuff like that, less populated areas, there's still giant cables everywhere because it works. Again, we're getting way off topic with 5G, but like I'm just waiting to see what is going to stop working because of the interference on this. So that's gonna be fascinating to me. Because what 5G's frequency is like anywhere from 4 gigahertz to 39 or 45 gigahertz.
I would honestly have to look up, to be honest, but I know the top end of the spectrum they were talking about conflicting with
ADS
weather radar.
Well, for a while it was ADS, but then they changed it. And that's where all the conspiracies come from, is because everybody, at least I'm pretty sure this is where the conspiracies started with 5G.
According to... Sorry, and just to answer your question, so according to the Google, high band 5G currently uses frequencies from 25 to 39 gigahertz.
Okay, so that's not anywhere close to ADS. ADS is 95 gigahertz, but when
I thought,
they were
like radar like weather radar. I thought it's supposed to get close to that, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because even with the um, there's this stuff on the 5 gigahertz spectrum that if, and I think it's actually the lower side of the 5 gigahertz spectrum, if I remember correctly, where you actually have to have your radio, if it encounters interference, like drop the frequency and switch to either shut down or it has to switch frequencies. It's called DFS, which stands for dynamic frequency switching. What I was about to say with the 5G and the speculation. So there's this thing called ADS that operates on 95 gigahertz, and the technology it may have changed in recent years, but it's basically what the military uses to point this dish at people and make everybody in that area hurt a lot to leave the area. And so you get people that are kind of, untrusting. And then they look at this 5G, which originally the spectrum was much higher when they were first. Again, 5G has changed throughout its inception, so that's why I originally asked, like, is this the real one or not the real one?
They're still they still haven't really officially said what it is, but
yeah. So you
get. Looking at Washington Post, there's a big article about global 5G deal poses significant threat to weather forecast accuracy. So basically, studies completed by the U.S. government from agencies such as the National Ocean...
NOAA.
Jesus.
Noah.
Yeah, NOAA. National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration, NASA,
job,
and the
Brandon.
Navy have warned that 5G equipment operating in the 24 gigahertz frequency band could interfere with their transmissions from polar orbiting satellites used to gather weather data.
So that's not
Potential
DFS.
loss. Potential loss of 77.4% of the data coming from the microwave sounders.
Oh, goody.
Oh.
So did they figure this out before they gave all the companies the go-ahead? Oh, great.
No. Remember 5G was, what was it? Sprint was the first company that officially started marketing 5G phones.
Oh yeah, and then they got in trouble because it
wasn't 5G, and even the loosest argument, it was basically a buzzword. It is a damn buzzword right now. And
but 5G does not cause COVID.
No.
Just thought I would mention that. It's not going to do ADS either because it doesn't overlap with that frequency anymore. B, they don't have a giant directional beam antenna on these things, and they don't have the power requirement to actually make everyone wince in pain in an area. So no, stop burning cell towers.
God damn 2020 to hell. I totally forgot about that. Was that March? Or was that like 6 years ago? I don't even remember. What the hell is this year?
And they changed it. First they were saying like it directly causes COVID. Then they were like, oh, well, no, it reduces your immune system so you can get COVID. Like
I heard someone say COVID rides on the waves.
It's like a surfer.
No.
Oh, our educational system.
Audio waves too. So all that fire suppression stuff causing COVID as
all
well.
They're doing is they're just shooting COVID at the fire.
Yes.
The fire. So the fire has to be stuck in a building, so it's easier to control.
It's got a social distance.
Respiratory.
Oh yeah.
Maybe that's how that works. Respiratory. The COVID just takes up all the air. Okay, we have gone way off the rails. We are a little bit past the hour mark now. So I think this would be a good time to call it a night, to call it a podcast. So, again, Brandon Vader. You can find me on Twitch as Drac Vader or on YouTube as The Tech Pirate. Feel free to also visit my website, thetechpirate.net. I will actually start writing some articles for it in the near future. Colton down there, or over there, or wherever he's currently is.
I'm right here.
Right,
Arizona.
Right, yes. Also does occasionally write on thetechpirate.net as well. Maybe one day Cody will too.
Actually, I'm getting inspired by journalism because of the book that I read recently. So, but I'll talk about that in a different. Yeah.
Okay.
Whole nother video.
Yep.
Well, I am again Colton Roper. I do stream on Twitch. Under the name Seeker4761. Try to stream at least 4 nights a week. Trying to get a relatively stable.
That's how
schedule.
many followers he'd like to have.
I need 3, guys. I need 3 followers. But then in the last 10 days, and I'll have 50, which is incredible, finally.
Nice.
Right? I also have a YouTube channel under the same name, Seeker4761. And as Brandon over here, I think, said...
Other side.
There.
Yeah, no, you had it when you were like...
There.
Yep.
God, what a weird. We'll have to figure that out eventually. I do contribute to the techpirate.net. I do also need to start writing. Brandon, we need to start writing, which is now on the internet officially. So now people will theoretically start holding us accountable. And so we'll see what happens.
And I am Cody. You can find me in the frozen wasteland of Alaska. You can find me. So every once in a long time, I stream on Twitch, Psychonitrous. I have a YouTube channel, Striving for Failure.
Striving to fail.
Thank
you.
To
I don't
fail,
even know
Cody.
my
It's
own
your damn
YouTube.
channel.
Yeah. See, I'm failing at that. So
So that
clearly
just
it's
means
working.
you need to put more content on that too, Cody.
Yes. Yeah, I do. I know. I need to edit more. I've got some other stuff to edit too, besides this now as well. Yeah. Nice hat, by the way, Colton.
Wait, who?
You.
Me?
Yes.
What,
I got
does
this
your
in-
hat say?
It is. You know what? I don't even remember. Hang on.
It's Thai boxing.
Thai boxing. Can you guess where I got this hat?
Thailand.
Get out of my head. Get the
Never.
COVID out of my head. The 5G waves that you're emitting from Colorado.
All right. Have a good one, guys.
Take care.
Bye, guys.
Join us next time, guys.